Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. UFC 327 is this weekend. Coming up on Saturday on Paramount. Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. Pretty decent card on paper. It did take a big hit with Tatsuto Taira versus... Can't think of who he's fighting. Joshua Van, sorry about that. I don't know how I had a mind blank there. But yes, Tatsuto Taira versus Joshua Van got moved to UFC 328. Joshua Van pulled out with an injury. But I'm just going to be talking about this card, giving you how good this card is. And obviously, it's not pay-per-view, so you basically can watch this card for free. But I'm basically just going to give you a 1 through 10 rating on this card as a whole, not just the top 5 fights, but the whole card as a whole. And just basically just judging it as a whole grade. And yeah, let's get into it. We're gonna start from the very first fight and give y'all my honest reaction to this card. And yeah, so Charles Radke versus Francisco Prado. It's a solid fight for a first fight of the night. I'm not gonna lie. Prado's a pretty exciting fighter. I know he's lost 3 in a row, but he's always been in exciting fights. I know he lost to Daniel Zellberger. I'm pretty sure he lost to Jake Matthews, and he's lost to some dude I don't know how to say his name. But he's really young. He's like 20-something years old. His striking's pretty crazy. And he's facing Charles Radke. It's a decent fight for the first fight, but it's the first prelim, so there's nothing really too much to say about it, but it should be an exciting fight. Then we got the second fight of the night. Actually, a fucking banger for a second fight of the night. Kevin Gastelum versus Vicente Luque. Actually, a really good fight for the middleweight division. Even as the second fight of the night, this is a banger. No complaints. It's an early prelim. This could honestly go on a prelim headliner, and I wouldn't be mad. So this being as an early prelim, can't complain. And then the last early prelim, we got Chris Padilla versus Markel Medeiros. Another really good fight, honestly. I know Chris Padilla is like a 5 fight. Actually, I don't even think he's lost in the UFC. He's on a mad long win streak. He's been in the UFC for a long time, and he's beaten some pretty good guys. I know who did he just beat? He just beat someone pretty good. Let me take a look. He just beat Islam Bonfim when everyone thought he was going to lose. So it's a good fight. And then we got Markel Medeiros. He hasn't lost in the UFC either. I think he's like 3-0 in the UFC. So this is a good fight for the early prelims. 2 guys that are on win streaks in the lightweight division. Has implications for the lightweight division. I mean, not necessarily, but it could in the future. So yeah, I like this fight. These are 3 great early prelims. If I can give the early prelims a grade, actually we're not going to do that because we're grading the whole card as a whole. First prelim of the night, we got Tatiana Suarez versus Lupe Godinez. Not a bad women's MMA fight. I don't hate it. It makes sense. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's gonna be a fun fight. It probably isn't, but it's a meaningful fight, and can't complain about normal matchmaking in the UFC. So, not gonna get mad about it. Now this fight right here. The next fight on the card is Mateus Gamrot versus Esteban Robovics. This right here is a banger. It could either be fight of the night or really fucking boring. Gamrot being a heavy grappler. He's beaten some really good names. He's beaten Dan Hooker. He's beaten Arman Sarukian, which Arman probably should have won that fight, but still, it's definitely a win on his resume. It was a close fight, nevertheless. I know he's lost to Charles Oliveira in October of last year on my birthday. Charles Oliveira is my favorite fighter, but it's a story for another day. And then we got Esteban Robovics, he's not too young. I think he's like 27 or 28. Let's see if it even shows us here. Of course, it's going to scroll up to the top. Nope, it's not going to say, but good thing we got good old Tapology right next to us. Robovics is 29. So It's a good fight though, because Revolvix is on a really good win streak. I mean, I know he lost. I think he lost at one of his fights. What did he lose to? He lost to Nasser. But every fight he's in, he's throwing crazy. His volumes. He's a volume striker. He throws a lot of strikes. He had that nasty KO over Terrence McKinney not too long ago. That was a crazy knockout. And yeah, I mean, it's really is who's gonna be grappler versus striker on the day, and those are my favorite matchups. Grappler versus striker, Gamrot versus Rovovic, banger fight. Implications for the division. If Rovovic wins, that's a big win on his resume. He's probably gonna get a top 5 shot after that. Does the matchmaking make sense? Probably not, but I like when they do this. It's the unknown. Can Rovovic stop the takedown of Gamrot? Gamrot's probably one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, so I'm excited for this fight. 10 out of 10 prelim. That could honestly be a pay-per-view or a main card first fight of the main card. Next fight, we got Kevin Holland versus Randy Brown. This is a fun fight. It makes sense in the division at welterweight. Kevin Holland kind of switched back and forth from welterweight and middleweight, but this fight makes sense at welterweight. Randy Brown, kind of a clean striker, not a lot of power, but he has shown finishing power at some of his fights. I know he's coming off a loss to, I think, he got KO'd by Gabriel Bonfim, yeah, but he doesn't really get knocked out too often though. And I know he lost a split decision versus Brian Battle as well, which a lot of people thought he won. But Randy Brown is always you kind of know what you're going to get from Randy Brown. He's a clean striker, defensive, responsible, kind of boring. Has some KOs though every once in a while, but like it's just kind of like you know what you're going to get from Randy Brown. He's a clean striker. Kevin Holland, kind of the opposite. You don't know what you're going to get from him from a fight-to-fight basis. I think his boxing's kind of not that good. His striking's honestly very overrated in my opinion. I think he's defensively irresponsible. I think his grappling's a little overrated too. I don't think Kevin Holland's all that good, to be honest. So, I mean, it's not really a picking fights type of thing, but it's good. It's a good fight though. It's a good fight. It makes sense in the division. It's an exciting fight nevertheless. So, for grading this card, it's a solid fight. The fans want to see it. It's gonna be a fun fight. Last fight on the prelims, we got Patricio Pitbull versus Aaron Pico. This is a very interesting fight because, like, you have two guys that came from Bellator. They both kind of haven't really looked that good in their UFC fights so far, and now they're just fighting each other. I have a feeling whoever loses this fight is going to get cut, but I think this is a good fight, though. Pico got absolutely obliterated by Lerone Murphy. Spinning back elbow to the fucking dome, put him out cold, snoring. And Pitbull, he's older. He's had a lot of fights in Bellator, a lot of wars. I think he lost to Yair and then beat Ige, which is actually a pretty good win. But this is an exciting fight, and it makes sense in the division as well. Both guys need a win, and I don't see why this fight wouldn't be a good fight. It might be a boring fight. There's a possibility where both these guys are just gun shy because they don't want to get KO'd. But I'm excited for this fight. I think another reason why I like some of these fights is the unknown. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen in this fight, to be honest. Like, I don't know what's gonna happen in this fight. I don't know what's gonna happen in this fight. I don't know what's going to happen in this fight. I mean, I kind of do know what's going to happen in this fight, but I don't know what's going to happen in this fight. So they're kind of like the unknown's kind of fun. Like none of these fights are easy to pick. So that's why it's a good card so far. Then we got Cub Swanson versus Nate Laneware. Cub Swanson is like 42 years old. He's old. It's probably his retirement fight. Nothing really much to say about him. He's there to scrap. To be honest, he's not really trying to. He's not gonna be a champion, obviously, but he's a legend in the sport. Should be a good fight in terms of excitement and stylistic matchup versus Nate Laneware. Nate Landwehr's a boxer, really has good wrestling, but I doubt he's gonna use his I doubt he's gonna use his wrestling this fight. I think he's gonna bang with Cub Swanson, and it should be a really exciting fight. I don't understand the placement on the card. I think this fight should be opening up the main card, or even this fight should be opening the main card. Don't really understand why this is on the main card, but it's still a good fight, and it's an exciting fight. It doesn't really have any implications to the division, but it's still it's gonna be a fun fight to watch for the fans. And it's nice to see a Cub Swanson retirement fight. I think this is his retirement fight, if I'm not mistaken. But that'd be a cool. It's a cool. Another thing to add to this card is a Cub Swanson retirement fight versus an exciting fighter with Nate Landwehr. Nate Landwehr is a really exciting fighter. So, next fight we got Dominic Reyes versus Johnny Walker. This is like CT versus CT right here, boys. Dominic Reyes, I think he got brutally KO'd in his last fight versus Olberg, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just take a look at that one. Am I too sure? Yeah, he did get KO'd by Olberg. It was like a jab, yeah. He was on a 3-5 win streak beforehand. Everyone was calling the resurgence of Dominic Reyes, but he was beating scrubs, let's be honest. I think Dominic Reyes is still washed as fuck. And then he's fighting Johnny Walker, who's actually been pretty good recently. I know he just got a win versus, who did he just go win over? Zhang in China, I'm pretty sure. Which was, everyone was counting him out. And he KO'd him. So, shout out to Johnny Walker. But before that, he was getting KO'd left and right brutally. And he's gotten KO'd a million times in his career. So, I don't know, man. Like, it's a fun fight, but it doesn't really mean too much to the division. It's kind of like they're ranked high, 10 and 12, so it's understandable why they'd be on the main card because it is light heavyweight, and it's going to be probably a KO. One of them's getting KO'd, but it doesn't really mean much to the division. So this fight doesn't really do much for me other than being fun, really, and a stylistically matchup that makes for a fun fight. Someone's getting KO'd, someone's getting slept. Dominic Reyes is going to be slumped probably, or Johnny Walker might get slumped. Either one of them. Both of their chins are pretty bad. So, other than someone getting knocked out, that's all that fight really is. We got Curtis Blades versus Josh Hokett. This is a fucking... Honestly, like, I don't know how I feel about this fight. Because, like, Josh Hokett's, like, another, like, right-winger, like, says crazy shit on the mic for shock value type of guy, like kind of like Colby, and he's getting a top 5 matchup in Curtis Blades. I don't know if the heavyweight division is so shit that like I understand it. I understand why they're doing it. They need fresh contenders. They don't have anybody to fight towards the top of the division. They're gonna need someone to fight for the title soon. Like they're going to. So I understand why they're giving Josh Hokett a top 5 shot. I think it just so happens that he's kind of right-winging, and Dana White probably loves that shit, but it's another unknown fight. I don't know what's gonna happen in this fight. I really don't. Curtis Blades could absolutely sleep the fuck out of Josh Hokett and make a meme out of him, and that would be awesome. But Josh Hokett could definitely sleep the fuck out of Curtis Blades, and I think Josh Hokett's like more of like a gritty boxer, wear you down, grappler type of guy. But I could definitely see him taking Curtis Blades into the deep waters and using that NFL body on him. But yeah, that'd be a fun fight to watch. Makes sense in the division. The fans are going to be going crazy. 2 fat heavyweights going at it. I don't think Curtis Blades is actually fat, now that I think about it. I don't even know if Josh Hokett is fat. Let's see. Let's look at those physiques. Okay, yeah, they're not the fattest. They're not the fattest. They're actually looking pretty good for heavyweight. I'm excited for this fight, though, other than looking at their physiques. Yeah, I'm excited. And we got Azmat Murakhanov versus Paulo Costa. This is when the fight card kind of, like, drives me a little, like, Paulo Costa at the co-main event versus Azmat doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. I feel like I mean, I understand Tatsuo Taira fell out, so they got to move everyone up. But like, it doesn't sit right with me that Paulo Costa is a co-main event for like the fourth time in a row. Paulo Costa, he did win versus Roman Kopylov, but Roman Kopylov is whatever. He lost to Sean Strickland, lost to Robert Whitaker, he lost to Vettori. I don't know. And then Osmond obviously is on a massive win streak. He hasn't lost in the UFC, I don't believe. He's coming off a win versus Rockage where he KO'd him. I mean, a common theme of all these fights is that they're all going to be fun fights. I think you've heard me say fun fight every single fight on this card, or exciting fight, because it looks like all these fights are going to be pretty exciting. The matchmaker's cooked on this card. I mean, I don't really care for this fight too much because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like Asmat's going to beat the shit out of him, but who knows? Who knows? At least Paulo Costa is a pretty well-known fighter in the UFC, and the memes after the fight are going to be crazy, win or lose with Paulo Costa, so that's cool, I guess. But him as a co-main event doesn't sit right with me, so yeah. We got the main event, Yuri Prochazka versus Carlos Ulberg. I'm happy this is a fresh matchup in the light heavyweight division. I wouldn't really want to see Yuri versus Alex Pereira again. And I really don't want to see Carlos Ulberg versus Alex Pereira either. I feel like Ulberg was going to get KO'd by Alex, to be honest. Ulberg's nothing really too crazy, to be honest. I feel like he's pretty basic striker. Stand up, jab, leg kicks, power shots, nothing crazy. Like he's a pretty copy and paste striker from what the normal striker is in the UFC, kickboxer. And then he's fighting Yuri. Yuri, everyone knows Yuri. Everyone loves Yuri. Yuri Prochazka, the madman. He fights for the fans every single time he fights. He fights crazy. His fights are always insane. He's always ending up getting hurt. He's probably a top 5 most exciting fighter in the UFC all time. So as a main event, it kind of sells itself. Yuri Prochazka versus the clean striker and Carlos Ulberg. Will Ulberg be able to outclass him on the feet, land, and will Yuri Prochazka be able to? Is there a method to his madness, per se? And that's really the selling point of that fight. It's a good fight though, and I'm definitely hyped up for it because I don't know who's gonna win. Yuri Prochazka could definitely lose this fight. He could definitely get KO'd by Ulberg, but Yuri could definitely do what he always does and just walk him down, throw crazy shots at him, and Ulberg could gas out, and just Yuri can take him to the deep waters. Really, it's really what's gonna happen if Yuri does win. But it's a great fight. It's a great main event in my opinion. In terms of grading the card as a whole and what I look for, I think this card does a great job at having a lot of unknown and having a lot of fights that I don't really know what's gonna happen. And I think it does lack a little bit of relevance to the division in some fights. Like, I don't really think this fight means too much to the division. I don't think this fight means too much to the division. I don't think this fight does, but some of these fights do. I think the Gamrot fight does has some relevance to the division. I think Pitbull's fight does as well. I think Curtis Blades does as well. I think Asmat does. So I think it has some. So I think there's some good fights that have relevance to the division and exciting fights as well. But I don't think there's anything that blows your socks off in terms of excitement on this card or any star power other than maybe Yuri. But in terms of a grade, we're going to go, since we haven't been getting some pretty dog shit cards so far in the UFC and Q1 on the Paramount era, I got UFC 325 was dog shit, 26 was dog shit. We're gonna go 6.7 out of 10 for this card. So I would watch it if I was y'all. I think it's a good card. I think it's a solid, decent card. I think if Tyra was still on the card, I would give it an 8 out of 10. But since Tyra got off and Tyra vs. Joshua Van is off, that's a banger co-main event. It would have easily brought it up to an 8 out of 10 in my opinion. But with that being taken off, it takes a lot off the card because that was carrying the card a little bit in my opinion. So that's the official grade. Y'all let me know what y'all think. Y'all let me know what y'all would grade the card. And I do think it's a little overhyped. This card's getting a little bit overhyped in terms of how good it is. People are acting like this is the best card since like UFC 300. It's a solid card, don't get me wrong, but it ain't that crazy. Like, it's a solid card, guys. This is what the UFC should be doing every card. But anyways, guys, let me know what y'all think. Comment down below what y'all would rate the card. And peace.